Hello and welcome. The 2023 Finetwork FIM Junior World Championship is ready for round two. The circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia welcomes 6 action-packed races throughout today, and we'll be taking you through every single one of them. It's a tight track, but somehow 4 kilometers are squeezed into a small space. Limited overtaking opportunities make this circuit one of the most technical, but we're always in for good racing. 9 left-handed turns are the majority of this course. There are 5 right-handers, and there's a run to the line if you want it. Round 2 is here for the Junior GP World Championship, and as I say, 6 races to come throughout Sunday. My name's Kiko Giles, and alongside me, as ever, Steve English is here. We are in for a treat. Steve, round 2, we're still yet to find a pattern for this season, but we've already got a couple of riders to keep an eye on.
Yeah, there's a lot of riders have stepped up to the World Championship for this season, and that means that there's a place available to be the star of this season. And I think that's one of the big stories we're going to keep an eye on all the way through the Junior GP season. Who's able to really set themselves apart in the Moto 3 class?
The first round was back at Estoril just a couple of weeks ago, and with a couple of riders stepping up, who would shine? There was only one race for Junior GP then, and it was an absolute riot at the front. David Almanza looking to get in on the action. As always, he was the winner of the last race from last year. That was here at Valencia. It was all going down to the final few laps, and a rider called Nico Carraro in the mix, whilst Almanza was certainly out of it. He high-sided at the chicane. We had a red flag and a restart, and it went all again. Angel Piqueras was in the mix, but on the run to the line, Nico Carraro was driving, and somehow got the victory. That was his first in the class. Another Aspar Junior Team star is born. Can he continue here in Valencia? And that is one of the main questions, actually. It's his birthday today. Happy 21st birthday to Nico Carraro. He goes from 4th. We'll take a look through the grid and all of the runners and riders very, very soon. But Steve, he was a bit of a shock winner. He'd never really qualified that strongly before, and he came out the blocks fighting and took a victory at the start of the year. How many times have we said it all before? That Estoril, you can't read into it, but he's 4th on the grid today, and he's a championship leader. He's looking all right. He's
got his tail up as well. He's at 2 podiums in the Italian Championship so far this season as well. So for Nico, it's about trying to build on that all the way through. Those podiums in Italy came at Mugello and Misano, so it hasn't been a case of just hitting form once this season. He's done it 3 times already. So keep an eye out for him through the course of today's running, just to see if he can really back that up here in the Junior World Championship.
Different circuit as well. This Valencia is a little bit more technical. Estoril as well has its technicalities, but it always provides good racing. Here at Valencia, there is the opportunity. We've seen it a few times. Small groups, maybe even a couple getting away at the front.
Yeah, here in Valencia, it's about racecraft as much as anything else as well. The last corner leads itself to a last lap dive down the inside, so you need to make sure that you're able to place your bike in the right place. This is where the mentality of the rider really does come through. This is what makes Valencia a little bit different to Estoril. Estoril, it's a drag to the line. Here, it's about your racecraft all the way.
We've got a new poleman, Joel Esteban. He steps up this year. Let's find out how he did it here in Valencia.
Es la primera pole que hago en el Junior GP, la categoría de Moto 3, y bueno, estoy muy contento. Ha sido una clasificación difícil porque había muchos pilotos intentando coger rueda, pero bueno, hemos trabajado durante todo el fin de semana para tener un buen ritmo y el área del quali poder hacer un buen tiempo. Y bueno, la verdad que al final lo hemos conseguido. He hecho el tiempo, he pillado un rebufo, pero luego toda la vuelta la he hecho yo solo y bueno, muy contento. Creo que será una carrera en grupo porque bueno, todos los pilotos van rápidos aquí en Moto 3. Intentaremos hacer lo que hemos trabajado todo este fin de semana, hacer un ritmo bueno de carrera para intentar romper el grupo, intentarnos llevarnos a los menos pilotos posibles y bueno, muy contento con esta pole position.
We can decipher from that he is very content with his first pole in the class. And why wouldn't you be, Steve? I remember we were here covering this championship last year, and he was one of the standout performers in the European Talent Cup. He missed out on the title in the end here at Valencia, but he has earned his step up and he's on pole in just his second round. This kid's got a major talent. Surely he's one to watch.
Yeah, for Joel, last year we saw in the European Talent Cup 3 wins, 7 podiums, and he was a race winner here in Valencia as well. So this is a track he goes well at. He's been fast all the way through the weekend. He was second in free practice, and then he's been able to build on that all the way through the qualifying sessions as well.
And he's got a great team around him. We touched on it before, the Aspar junior team, so much experience nurturing young talent, and he's got a good team around him, and that's important at this level.
Yeah, for the Aspar team, the Estrella Galicia team, they're the ones to keep an eye on. They're the ones that always seem to have that talent coming through.
Second on the grid is Angel Piqueras. What does this kid need to do to take a first victory? Missed out again in the closest finish this championship's ever seen, 2,000ths of a second at Estoril. He's always strong here. First podium here last year in this class. Can he get the monkey off his back, Steve?
All he has to do is keep doing what he's doing. Second in the opening round of the year here in the Junior GP, but he's won 5 out of 6 races in the Rookies Cup. He finished second in the other race as well, only missed out by less than a 10th of a second. So he's riding great all the way through this season so far. Certainly you would expect him to be able to pick up a win today. It wouldn't be too much of a surprise.
Next up is Luca Lanetta, the number 58 for the AC Racing team. He had a strong showing here last year. He had a first pole of his career at the start of this year, and he's back on the front row, and it looks like he's having fun.
Yeah, and the big thing for him is Valencia is a good track for him. He was a Red Bull Rookies Cup race winner here last year, and he's been able to keep himself in those leading positions all the way through the season so far. Pole sitter in Estoril, like you said, for the opening round of the year.
We're going to come to your championship leader next in a moment. Great to see the fans here at Junior GP in Valencia. It's always a good turnout, and it's always good racing. Here is your championship leader, and it's his birthday today, 21 years of age. 1 win, 1 podium, no poles. He's a championship leader. Nico Carraro from Padova in Italy. Well, what can we say? We wasn't expecting to be talking about him as a championship leader, but he is. Can he build on it?
Super experienced. He's been, I think it's 40 starts in the Junior GP. He's got 70-odd starts in Italian Moto3 as well. So he's a rider with tons of experience, and now he's able to take advantage of that, because we've had it where a lot of riders have stepped up from this class last year to the World Championship. Now's his chance to shine. This
is David Almanza, race winner in Valencia last year. That is a get-well-soon card for Ruche Moodley, who had an enormous accident yesterday. The bike was a complete write-off. We hope that Ruche is okay. That's about in the European Talent Cup. About Almanza himself, he is the most recent winner here in Valencia. Whether or not he's going to build on it, he's got Moto3 World Championship experience this time, which is going to be a big factor in terms of racecraft.
Yeah, one of the big stars of the Argentinian Grand Prix this year, but a big crash out of the lead group in the opening race of the year. So he's got ground to make up, but it is still very early days in the championship.
And in 6th place is this man, the Australian Jacob Rulston. 3 Aspar Junior team gas in the top 6. And as we were saying, that is a team that's got plenty of experience. What can we expect from Jacob? He's always had them flashes of potential. He's already had a podium in the Red Bull Rookies so far this season. He's had 3 top 6 finishes in it. So he's been at the front of the field in the Rookies Cup. He also had a couple of podiums here in Valencia last year in the European Talent Cup. So he likes the track. He's qualified well in the second row of the grid. This is about gaining the experience for him, keeping himself in that lead group. 7th place will be Alessandro Morossi, the number 19, as we are getting ready to get underway very, very shortly. 18-year-old Morossi has an abundance of experience, and again, he was in the Aspar Junior team last year. He's moved out of that this year, but that experience that he's had before has pushed him up the grid. 7th, he was 2nd, and with his first front row at Estoril, so a clear step's been made. Yeah, big steps being made by Morossi, and now he needs to build on that. 10th is his best career effort in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, so he wants to make sure he's able to do that early doors this season as well. Coming up for 8th place on the grid, and this is a rider who always goes well. Valencia specialist, you could call him, Marcos Ruda. He will be looking for a very, very strong start to this year. He was just a little bit off the pace at Estoril, but his best finish in Junior GP is 8th from last year. So keep an eye for Marcus Ruda, the number 69, going from the middle of that 3rd row. Completing that third row is the number 94. That's Facundo Yambias. You may remember him from having a really strong start last year. Then he was injured, and he's just fighting his way back. A top 10 qualifying from him. Steve, we know Facundo relatively well from other championships, and he's always had that pace, but he didn't quite get it nailed down here last year.
Yeah, Supersport 300 World Championship runner on a couple of occasions, and a rider that has a lot of potential to be able to come through, and certainly one that this season in the Junior World Championship, he needs to consistently be up there inside the top 10.
Completing the top 10 on the first grid of, second grid of the year, our first grid together of the year. And we will have Elia Bartolini, the 2021 CIV Moto3 champion, and also Moto3 World Championship, best finish of 8th in that. So that came at Mandalika and Mugello. Here he is. He is 7th in the championship, courtesy of a 7th place finish in the first round. And Steve, again, Bartolini, a name that we know relatively well. What can we expect from him this year? Well,
this is the challenge for the riders that we have seen on the world stage. It's up to them to really show that they warrant that spot full time. And for Bartolini, it is a case of having to show what you can do all the way through. And it's going to be interesting to see how he does. But the field this year, a little bit weaker than we had seen at different times, or a little bit less experienced than we'd seen at different times. This could be a good chance for him.
11th place on the grid, Alvaro Carpe. He is always one to watch, and he actually crossed the line 3rd at Estoril. If you missed it, he was disqualified after for weight infringement. Completing the top 12 is Eddie O'Shea, Britain's Eddie O'Shea, but your pole man is Joel Esteban. He was a winner here in ETC last year. Can he do it this year in Junior GP? We're ready for the first race of the day here, the second round of the 2023 Finetwork FIM Junior GP World Championship. Joel Esteban in just his second round in the class will start from pole. Angel Piqueras chasing a first victory. Don't write off Luca Lunetta. He completes that front row. We took you to 12th earlier. Eddie O'Shea, the top Brit in the class. What can he do? He's had a podium before. Adrian Cruces, Arbi Aditama and Shinya Ezawa are on the 5th row. Keep an eye out for charges there. And also behind them, there will be plenty of riders to look out for. One is Jabizura Tuze. He's picked up a penalty. He did originally qualify 14th. He starts from the back of the grid in 27th. Kiko Giles and Steve English here taking you through the action. We have got 6 action-packed races to take you right the course of the day. We will have 2 Junior GP. This is the first one. Then we will have an ETC race, then the Moto2 race, another ETC race, and then we close the day with the new stock class, which we're all excited to get on with in just their second round. Steve, this is a 4-kilometre long circuit, 2.5 miles back home. What are the quirks of this track? What can we expect from this track?
This is a track where one corner can lead into the other. It's about trying to mean that you're in the right place at the right time. This opening sequence of corners as well, we tend to see a lot of riders exceed the track limit, so keep an eye on the green paint on the outside of the track. If you run onto that too many times, you will get a penalty from the race stewards. This is a section of track that's always action-packed. Down in towards turn 4, this is where you can have a cold front tyre, you can have it crash through here very easily. This is where we always tend to put one of our top cameramen at this corner because there tends to be so much action at it. And then for the rest of the lap, it's about trying to build yourself up, to put yourself in a position to make some overtaking moves. Valencia does offer good opportunities to make some moves, but you need to make sure you've got good racecraft. That's what separates the riders at the front of the field in the Junior GP.
And what about on a Moto3 bike, which this is in Junior GP? Slipstream's very important. So how important is it to not lose touch with that lead group at the front?
You have to stay in the lead group. If you're able to keep yourself in contention, you've got a good chance of winning races. And I think one of the big things that you see year on year in Junior GP here in Valencia is it's a big group, but it can get splintered as well. If you make a move and it doesn't quite work out, suddenly a 10-bike group can become a 5-bike group. So you do need to make sure that you're able to make clean moves if you're trying to come through the pack. And then if you're at the front of the field, you've got to take advantage if there is any splintering. Just because it comes down to a bit of a lottery on the last lap, you want to make sure that you've got as many cards in your deck as possible.
We're just looking at the last sector, this amazing left-hander down into the final hairpin. How important is this? Let's talk us briefly about if you, on the last lap, you want to be saving all your cards for this corner, really, and ramming it through up the inside.
Yeah, if you're leading into the last corner, you're going to try and place your bike into a defensive position. It actually leaves you vulnerable for someone sweeping around the outside as well. It's a great design that, especially in the smaller capacity classes, like the Moto3 class we have here for the Junior GP, or for the ETC, it always comes down to a last lap move.
We've seen very close finishes here before. In fact, in race 1 of the final round last year, 0.02 of a second between David Salvador and Colin Via. And in the first race of this year, 0.02 of a second again. Will we see another close finish at the end of these 17 laps? Race 1, Junior GP, lights out. Good start from Joel Esteban, good one from Luca Lunetta. He got that drive in from third on the grid. It's all about trying to get into position. It's going to be Luca Lunetta who's going to take the whole shot down towards turn 1. Luca Lunetta on the AC Racing team. KTM has got the job done. He's ahead of Angel Piqueras. 14, that's Cormac Buchanan out wide. But out for, Angel Piqueras going through already, so Piqueras has made his move. Piqueras leads after the first 2 corners. They're all still side by side, jockeying for position all the way through. Lunetta was second, now he's, 2 in 1, are you sure? Joel Esteban, that was coming back through to take the lead. The pole sitter back into the lead. Jockey for position, Steve. Frantic opening few corners.
Yeah, Esteban making sure that he's at the front of the field, but a really good start for the Aspar riders as well. You can see number 10, Nico Carrera. He was on the podium at the opening round of the year. He was a pole sitter in Estoril. He's up inside the top 5, and the same with his other teammate, Jacob Rolston, as well. So good start from the Aspar boys.
They've got to be careful here with Esteban. He had frightening pace, 1 lap pace in qualifying. He put a good race run together as well. And in the past, we have seen him clear off here. He has been one to watch. Joel Esteban, I say in this class, I mean at this circuit. It was ETC last year, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Background, by the way, we didn't pick it up on the warm-up lap. That is where the long lap penalty is, so any discretions, that is where they'll be sent. Leading, it is the number 7 of Joel Esteban from Angel Piqueras. Luca Lunetta coming under increasing pressure from the championship leader, Nico Carraro.
Yeah, we will see that the number 55 of Noah Detweiler will take a double long lap penalty. That was for discretion earlier in the weekend, so he'll have to take that pretty early in the stage, in the opening laps.
Detweiler at the moment quite a way downfield, about 17th position, so we'll come back to that soon. Nico Carraro up into the podium positions. He got that, lost the rear end there. Facundo Yambias, the Uruguayan rider, the number 94, he was running out wide, and Alessandro Morossi trying to come through on him as well.
We also saw the number 5 of Buasri out wide there as well through turn 1. Very easy to exceed the track limits through there. It's one that the stewards are going to watch all the way through the race. What we saw in the opening lap as well through this section of track, when Joel Esteban came through, we saw that he ran right up onto the curve, very close to the green paint. Didn't look like he went over, but that's the kind of thing that the stewards keep an eye on all the way through races. They try and build that racecraft and the understanding of the regulations right from the ground up in Junior GP.
And that is so you don't take the Michael later on in your career as you progress through the classes. The battle we're watching at the moment is the battle for 5th place. That is with Jacob Ralston, the Australian, so a good start from him up from 6th. David Almanza back from 5th, he's down into 6th, so them two have swapped places.
It's very important for Almanza as well on the 22. It's all about trying to make sure that he's able to really build on what we saw from him in the Argentine Grand Prix earlier this season. He's a rider that hasn't always had the results that I think people expected from him, but now this season he needs to make that step up, become a race winner and become a regular contender at the front of the field.
Well, I thought he was looking around the outside at Jacob Ralston then. We just had a notification on our timing screen that Torrin Collins has gone down at turn 2. He's rejoined. The good news is, for everyone, no jump start. So this race is as you see it. Leading is Esteban from Piqueras, and Esteban setting a good pace already. And to be honest, Piqueras looking like he's the one to go with him. They're lapping quicker than those behind.
Yeah, you can see there again the number 12 of Rolston just running wide through turn 1. It actually sets him up for a move down in towards turn 2, just carrying that extra momentum. But for Piqueras, he's a rider this season that has been so strong in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. He's won 5 out of 6 races, so he's in great form, but he's still chasing that first win in the Moto3 class in the Junior GP paddock. So for him, this is a real opportunity. The number 18, he's looking very comfortable there, whereas Esteban out in front a little bit more ragged.
Almanza ahead of Ralston there, that's for 5th position. And as you say, yes, Esteban just running out wide a little bit there. Piqueras keeping him honest at the front. We expect this from Piqueras. He has got some great form, plenty of podiums to his name. And now I think that might have been Almanza ahead of Lunetta, and it is. So Almanza making progress up to 4th. Because at the end of the day, Almanza has got pace for victory, with no doubt about that. But Esteban and Piqueras are pushing on so much at the front that gap is forming. This is not your traditional Junior GP race.
Well, this is what tends to happen as well, that when you've got two riders at the front, not really fighting with each other yet, and they're able just to run their fast pace. As it is, Carrero just trying to stick with them as much as he can, but the gap stretching out to just over half a second, and then Almanza just lost a bit of time trying to make sure he was able to come through on Rolston and then Lunetta. So now it's about trying to make sure you can use the slipstream just to close up that lead group. It's still definitely not a case of the number 7 and number 18 opening up an insurmountable lead. You can see already the number 10 of Carrero using the slipstream down the start-finish. He's closed that up. It is just about trying to make sure you're able to stay in contention.
And he's just set the fastest lap of the race as well. Best part of 2/10 quicker than your race leader last time around. So the championship leader, Nico Carrero, is really coming into this now. Lots of laps still to go, 13.5 laps yet. So this is by no means done. It never is in Junior GP. Piqueras there, the meet in a Aspar Junior Team sandwich. Almanza in 4th. He's still there, just about holding on. Ralston now has cleared Luca Lunetta as well. So, out the seat there was Almanza, and having to go wide was Ralston.
Yeah, and Ralston, though, we have seen him exceed track limits already a few occasions. If you're taking avoiding action, the stewards take that into account. But if you run wide too often, it will be something that they will take action on. We've already seen, actually, in the race, one of the riders further down the field, Shinya Izawa, has been given a track limits warning. So it is a case of, for all the riders, you need to be very careful. This is a track where you do tend to run right up onto the top of curbs, and it's easy to hit the green paint.
Oh, almost contact then with Almanza and Ralston. Almanza muscling his way back through. And as you said, right on cue there, Steve, Ralston actually ran right out over the top of the curb. He obviously not intended to do that, but Ralston really pushing on. He's got to be careful, because if they keep battling, then that gap is going to stay like that. They are not going to be reeling in that trio it is at the front now. Carrero has latched onto your 2 race leaders.
Well, this is where it gets dangerous for Almanza on the 22. Are you giving up too much time scrapping with other riders? He's lost 7/10 to the race leader on the last lap. So just having those little battles, it just costs you that bit of time. The top 3, they're not really getting themselves into a scrap at this stage. They're just settling down to fast pace in the 1:39s. If you're losing that ground, you then really have to work hard to make it up, and it's a big gap now for Almanza to make up.
Yeah, Marcos Ruda and Elia Bartolini, who are 9th and 10th at this moment in time, are actually quicker on their last lap than the group ahead of them. They're right on screen now. Keep an eye on them. Marcos Ruda is a bit of a track specialist round here, got to say. He's always looked good in every single class. I think it's one of his only podiums or race wins has come here. That was back in ETC. So Ruda knows his place well, goes well here. Can he latch on to the group ahead of him and try and get in that battle for a top 5? It would be something remarkable if he did. Out front, though, we've got Joel Esteban, who's looking slightly more comfortable now after a ragged opening couple of laps. Piqueras, though, arguably the best of them at the minute. He's looking very cool, calm and collected in 2nd ahead of Carrero.
Yeah, Piqueras is very good in this section of the track as well. The last couple of laps he's been able to close right up onto the back of the number 7. Just carries good corner speed, and he's able just to take a few bike lengths out of the race leader, Joel Esteban. So Angel Piqueras on the 18, looking very comfortable right now at this stage.
We said at the top of the show, Steve, that we perhaps didn't expect Nico Carrero to take victory or be in the podium fight at Estoril, but here he looks good. He's looking very, very smart. He's ghosted up to the rear of Piqueras there. In 3rd place, Carrero looking good, keeping his powder dry. I know it's only early, but he's not looking to try and make that pass on Piqueras. He's with the group, and that's all that matters now.
He's had those podiums in the Italian Championship. He's had the win last time out in Estoril, so he's feeling comfortable right now. He's feeling confident, and he's able to use all of his experience. He's had 110 odd starts on Model 3 machinery over the years, so he knows the bike perfectly underneath him, and he knows what he has to do. He's one of the oldest riders in the field, so there's pressure that comes from that as well to finally make that step and give yourself the chance of winning races. But for him, he needs to do it consistently, and once he's able to do that, then you're able to really keep yourself in that lead battle.
Jacob Ralston up to 4th place now ahead of Almanza. That move was done just then at turn 4, overtaking Hotspot. Good move, let the brakes off, scobbed off all the speed, and I think he was just signalling there to latch on and stop messing me around. They've got to close in. The gap now up to, well, over 2 seconds. So 2 seconds around here, that's really 3 seconds on a bigger circuit. This place does shorten gaps, and it is hard to make that time up around here.
Yeah, you're not making up 2.5 seconds unless the riders in front start tripping over each other, and what we've seen from the leading trio up to this point is they haven't done that, so they've been able to keep things nice and smooth through the opening quarter of this race. But the one thing about it is we have to wait and see how the race develops. Carrero on the number 10 machine, he's just been given a track limits warning, so if he exceeds track limits again, he'll get a long lap penalty, and that's where it then becomes tricky for the riders in front. Are you really able to push as hard as possible? Are you able to ride at your limit if you're still thinking about those track limits?
And we've still got 11 laps to go. It's very early on to be getting track limits warning. So Carraro, he's done the hard work. He just needs to stay there and within them white lines. He can't run out over the curb. Kept it relatively tight that time round. Almanza looking like in the background there. Almanza, no, he didn't make the move. I thought he was having a little move on the inside of Jacob Ralston. Wasn't able to. 3 Aspar Junior Team gas bikes inside the top 4. So it's a good day for Jorge Martinez Aspar. As we were saying, we have got the track limits warning for Nico Carraro. That's officially come up now on the timing screen. So just keep an eye out the number 10. He cannot run off them curbs. Esteban at the moment doing a really good job. The pace is still strong. They're the only guys in the 39s, everyone else in the 40s, and a couple of tenths slower lap than them as well. So doesn't look like we're going to have an outside influence, Steve. Looks like it is going to be these 3.
Yeah, no, the top 3 are the top 3 unless they really start taking lumps out of each other. It's a big gap now back to Ralston. That group of Ralston, Almanza, Lanetta, they've been fighting with each other. It's cost them time. And then you've got another second back to the next group of Marossi and Ruda as well. So it is starting to separate itself out. That's what can happen here in Valencia, just because if you start to scrap with each other, you cost yourself too much time where it really is difficult to make that time back up.
Let's just have a quick run through your top 10 now and beyond. We've got Esteban, Piqueras and Carraro. They're your 3 at the front. They're your 3 on screen. Ralston, Almanza, Lunetta, Marossi, Marcos Ruda, Facundo Yambias and Elliot Bartolini chasing behind. Bartolini the 23. Then we've got Alvaro Carpe in 11th place. Keep an eye out for him. Cormac Buchanan, the New Zealander. Eddie O'Shea, the Brit, in 13th place. Tachkorn Boisri up from 20th on the grid. He's now in 14th, and rounding out the points is Adrian Cruces, who I must admit I expect a little bit more from him. He's down in 15th, coming under pressure from Xabi Zuratuza. Further down, we've got Leo Ramersdorfer. He is just on the brink of the top 20, but ahead of some good names all the way down the order. Back at the front, still Joel Esteban. Those guys slipped into the 140s for the first time last time around, but they're still a lot quicker than those behind them.
Yeah, and you can see there 40.0 last time around from the race leader. Just further down the field, Noah Detweiler, the number 55, we've seen him take his long lap penalties. He's actually running pace very similar to the front group right now as well. So he's in the mid 1 minute 40s, and he's trying to move himself up through the order. Detweiler's had good pace all the way through this weekend, led the way in the free practice sessions on Friday as well. So he's a rider that is trying to make that progress and then get himself back up into the points.
And we saw at times last year as well, actually. Detweiler has got that pace, he's got that experience now. This is not his first year in this class, and he's looking good. You know, okay, where he is at the moment due to the long laps, doesn't perhaps replicate that and reflect that in the best way, but he has been a rider who's made progress coming into this season.
He's a rider that we'll have to keep an eye on for this afternoon's second race of the day. Obviously, a double long lap penalty in the Moto 3 class leaves you where you really don't have too many choices and chances out there. And you can see at the front of the field, though, Ángel Piqueras trying to take his chance on the run down to turn 1.
Good move that from Piqueras as he hits the front of this group with about half race distance done. And importantly, number 7, Joel Esteban, the rider who's done the majority of the donkey, always back up the inside. That would look like Piqueras just went a little bit wide there, missed his braking marker, and Esteban thought, I'll have that back, thank you very much. On Esteban, he has a track limits warning, so this is going to be very crucial now. The rider in first and the rider in third both have track limits warning. Ángel Piqueras, the number 18 in second place on the blue Estrella Galicia Honda, does not. And let's see how that plays out as this race rumbles on.
Yeah, for Piqueras, he's been nice and comfortable all the way through this race, but we've seen the Aspar riders have to ride a little bit differently to him. They're having to use every inch of the track to try and keep out in front. That's the difference between the KTMs and the Hondas as well in this class.
We have a first long lap penalty for the top 3, and it is for your third place man, Nico Carraro. Will he know that yet? I don't know if he'll know that yet. I think they're going to tell him when they cross the line, but Nico Carraro, a long lap penalty for repeatedly exceeding track limits. So that is what will happen if you carry on running out over the curbs. And unless Esteban and Piqueras pick up long laps, that is more or less this race done for Carraro. He should slot in ahead of David Almanza, just ahead of David Almanza.
He's got 3 seconds in hand over Almanza, so he should comfortably come out from the long lap penalty round about 3/4 of a second clear. That you can see one rider in the background. It looks like Bouasri there, just running very wide through the last corner. This is what the stewards have to keep an eye on. This is why they have to keep an eye on it all the way through. You can see now the number 10 being given that board for the long lap penalty. We'll see if he takes it on this lap. You have to take it within 3 laps of being notified of the penalty.
Another rider with a track limits warning way downfield is Angus Grenfell on the art box, but he will, diving up the inside. No track limits there for Carraro. Straight into second, but Angus Grenfell, he's been given a track limits warning as well, but it doesn't really change the majority of things. The track limits, the long lap penalty, yeah, you're right, Steve, a little bit quicker around here than normal. They like to give a 3-second penalty if you can't serve it, say you pick up the penalty at the end of the race, but you should be able to do it around 2.5 seconds here.
Yeah, the big thing with it is if it hasn't had too much use, it can be quite dirty, it can be quite slick. But we've also seen in, say, the Moto2 class in the World Championship in Argentina, we saw Aaron Canet take penalties and really stay on the limit all the way through as well. This is where the long lap penalty loop is. You don't have to take it right now for the number 10 machine, Nico Carrera, but you do have to take it in the next couple of laps. That's where he will take it. You can use the long lap penalty to really give yourself the exit speed as well and give yourself that momentum. We've seen riders really utilise it as counter-attack after taking those penalties, but as it is for Nico, it shouldn't be a big issue for him to come out in front of the next group.
And also, whilst we're on that, he has got ahead here of Angel Piqueras and hasn't latched onto the back of his teammate. So you can imagine how Piqueras is feeling now. He won't know that the rider in front of him has got that long lap. He'll be thinking, will you get out of the way? Little does he know he's going to in the most annoying way possible.
Sometimes the rider that's got the penalty doesn't know they have it, but everyone else around them seems to know, and for Piqueras, that's why he's going to try and get down the inside in towards turn 2. Nice clean move into there. We saw that's where he lost the lead a lap ago, and now he's able to come through nice and clean. Good move there from Piqueras.
Yeah, Piqueras looks like he's got something in hand here. I mean, it kind of goes without saying he's one of the fastest riders on the grid. And Piqueras keeping his powder dry, not really pushing on too much at the moment. He's probably seen ahead of him that Esteban's run out wide a couple of times. There's no need to push yet. We've still got 7 laps to go. I do think, though, that if Carraro doesn't take the long lap this time, he will have to take it next time around. Otherwise, that'll be the 3 strikes, and he's going to get another long lap for ignoring the original one he got anyway.
Yeah, exactly, Kiko. So we'll see if he takes it this time around. We see that there's enough of a gap now between himself and Piqueras, and we'll see if he runs himself out into the long lap penalty, and indeed he does. Now, you need to make sure you keep yourself within the white lines. We've obviously seen that in the MotoGP World Championship this year with Fabio Quartararo coming a cropper from that. Now Almanza gives the signal to the trailing group, stick behind me, let's try and close up on these guys in front. There's a battle for a podium coming up.
And whilst we've been talking about that top 3, I must say, as I tipped at the start, Marcos Ruda, track specialist, up into 5th place. And with Carraro taking that long lap penalty, maybe a couple of tenths can be found here by Almanza, who's at the head of that battle for 4th. Reel in Carraro. There's a podium on here for these guys. At the front, Piqueras pulling out, not quite able to do so, but Esteban holding on. Piqueras back in the 39s last time around.
Yeah, Piqueras just half wheeling there. He's just making sure that the other riders are aware of him. That's Lunetta running out wide there through turn 1. But for Piqueras, he's making sure Esteban knows he's there and that he needs to defend that position as well. We're moving in towards that final third of a race. We saw a red flag in Estoril, so the riders know the importance now of hitting the front of their groups. And certainly for Marcus Ruud on the 69, you mentioned him being the track specialist, Kiko, in the European Talent Cup especially. He was a rider always worth keeping an eye on. He's Almanza's teammate, but he's going to be trying to come through just as hard on Almanza as he would anyone else.
Absolutely. Rule number 1, don't take your teammate out. Rule number 2, beat him into submission if you have to, but please get to the checkered flag. We've seen it before, teammates taking each other out last year. This is interesting because Carraro has not. He's got a half a second advantage, really. It's not enough to be comfortable. With 6 laps to go, definitely not. These guys, at the moment, they're working together, for sure. If it's a podium, you can bet your bottom dollar and your mortgage that Ruud will be having a go. Carraro, this is the battle for third. This is where your eyes are at. We're going to have a bit of a humdinger on the final lap because we're going to have this battle for the victory. Esteban and Piqueras, neither have won a race before, and I can tell you that if those riders do win, we will have the 50th different winner in this class since Moto3 machinery has been used. That's going back to 2012, which gives us the potential to have the 100th different winner since 1998 in race 2 later on. This is the battle for third. Almanza was very close to Carraro. More on the stats later. Carraro's got his hands full here.
Yeah, and he's thinking about moving up into that position in front of him for the podium, but he needs to keep an eye on Ruud as well. It looks like the 22 was in a position to attack there into turn 2. We'll see if he's managed to make that move stick.
Not sure if he has. We cut away just as that move looked like it was coming in. Almanza, he has got through according to the timing monitor. So Almanza is up into third. Carraro has been looking at a red bike and a blue bike for the majority of the race. Red and blue goes to purple, and he's got a purple bike in front of him now in third. David Almanza on that final podium position.
Yeah, and we'll wait and see what happens at the front. The reason we're sticking with it is that you've got a chance for a change of the lead here with Piqueras. He's riding very well, looks so comfortable out there compared to a lot of the other riders. But you have to say, Joel Esteban on the number 7 machine, he looks like a very experienced front-running rider for a rider with such limited experience on the Moto3 machine. Good effort from him.
Yeah, almost seamlessness from Esteban. The transition. Lunetta parking it up the inside of Carraro. Italian on Italian. Gets that job. Carraro's going backwards here. And I just wonder if there was a bit of a collision with him and Ruud, because both of them riders have dropped right back out of the top 2 in that group for third.
Yeah, I was going to say that Ruud has been banged up a little bit in this lap. Now he's going to try and bang it down the inside, see if he's able to get back some of those positions. This is where the bit of experience does make a big difference, and this is where you need to try and make sure that you're able to put it to good use. That's what Almanza is doing at the front of this field, and Jacob Rolston has been very quiet all the way through, but he's put himself into position now to attack for the podium.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Rolston. I was just about to say, Lunetta, sorry, it was Ruud up, nearly a collision there. We saw that here last year actually with Colin Vire. We saw Marcos Ruud get pushed around a bit, and he went to put it on the inside, and around the outside of the last corner came Marossi. It went out wide anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And it's quite funny that you're trying to focus on one thing, and just when you think you can't get pushed back anymore, someone else finds another way. At the front of the field, it is still Esteban and Piqueras. Nothing's changed there, a 10th between those two. But this is a riot for third. Ralston, Almanza. Lunetta's just got through on Carraro. Yes, he has. That's at turn 6. Marcus Ruud in 7th place, and Alessandro Marossi in 8th position. That is your battle for third. Just behind them, fantastic ride. 9th place, Cormac Buchanan, and in 10th place, Alvaro Carpe. But this is where the action, the major part of this race, the action is in this battle for third. It's a bit of a head-to-head at the front, and got to say, Racecraft, you'd be looking to leave it till the last couple of laps as Almanza takes a look over his shoulder, sees a big 58 right in his face. Lunetta, he dropped back at the start of this race, but he's held his own now. He's in this group. This is his pace at the end of the day. Esteban and Piqueras obviously got that bit more at the moment in race 1.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that obviously out in front you can see here it's the Aspar bike, and then the Honda of Piqueras. The Piqueras bike, number 18, the only Honda in those leading positions. So he's done a good job on that bike to put himself into a position to attack on the run to turn 1. But it's the same as what we've seen a few times already. It's almost like a rehearsal of the move into turn 1 for him.
He doesn't want to go too early either. He doesn't want to play all his cards and give his rival, in this case the number 7 of Joel Esteban, too much time to study where Piqueras is strong. Of course, Piqueras knows where Esteban's strong because he's followed him for the entire race with almost hardly any disruption. We had that little moment with Carraro coming through, but generally speaking, Esteban has been stalked by Piqueras. Piqueras knows where he's stronger, where he can bounce. He almost looks like he's sitting up and letting him have it at the moment, whereas Esteban looks like he's really pushing on.
Well, for Piqueras, it's a case of just putting your bike everywhere you want it to be on the track. He's buzzing around behind the number 7 machine, so the race leader, Joel Esteban, knows that Piqueras is always ready to pounce. And even though Esteban's riding really well, he also knows that he's going to be under attack for the last 2.5 laps. Piqueras just building up the pressure. You can see how comfortable he looks on the bike. He's not really got it all cranked over. He's just able to put himself into that comfortable position just to keep himself within that wheel of the race leader. And then it's a case of just going to try and pull the pin on the last lap.
4 podiums for Angel Piqueras so far, and I can tell you the first of which came here last year, exactly 12 months ago, when he was second. He was third at Jerez, he was third at Misano, and he was second at the season opening round this year at Estoril as Luneta comes through and Almanza. Almanza's like a yo-yo, he's going up and down in this group. He's really got to sort that out with 2 laps to go. But 4 podiums for Piqueras, none of which have been a win. And he's again half-wheeling Esteban into turn 1. No move, but he's looking good for that first win at the moment, unless Esteban himself is keeping his own powder dry.
Yeah, next time around will be the last lap. That's whenever he's going to try and make the move into turn 1. But he looks very fast rolling through turn 1 into turn 2 to try and set the move up into this left-hander. You can see this group, though. This is going to end in tears for, well, probably 6 riders, you'd imagine. But certainly there's a lot of banging going on between them. And you can see there the move then from the number 10 of Carrero down the inside of Almanza. He wants to get back onto the podium.
Yeah, this is, like I said earlier, an absolute riot for this third and final position on the podium. I mean, it would have been the same if it was the battle for 4th. Let's have a look what we're seeing here. This is moving on through. Ralston going up into 3rd. And look at Ruda letting the brakes off. There he goes, Steve.
Yeah, really good move there on the run into 1 for Ruda on the 69. As it is for Marcus, he's trying to chase down that podium spot and see if he can get himself through on the Aspar riders. The Aspar team, though, 3 bikes up there inside the top 5. Very impressive start to this weekend for them.
Just a reminder, Joel Esteban, rookie in this class this year, yet to have a podium. He started from pole position for this one, and he's looking on course for a podium, at least, potentially that first win. We are coming down to the final corner for the penultimate time. Piqueras, long sweeping wide line in there. He's lining it up already, Steve. You said he'd look for the move at turn 1, last lap time.
Yeah, now he's going to use the slipstream, try and set it up into T1.
He's looking through side by side. He's not half-wheeling this time. He's going on through. So Piqueras has done what we thought he might do, and that's sliding into the lead. He was a little bit wide on the apex there. Gets it pulled down. Covers his line. Esteban, will he have a look back? He'd always have a look back. Oh dear, he had a look. He didn't execute. 2nd place for Esteban. Piqueras still leading.
It's the same battle behind for the final spot on the podium. It looks like Esteban might be a bit far back trying to move into turn 4. So for him, it's going to be, you'd imagine, into the end of the back straight, down in towards turn 8 or down into those last couple of corners. This is a question of how brave are you? How dry do you want to keep your powder? You can keep it all the way until the very last corner. But I'll tell you what, you've got to be brave if you're doing that.
3rd place, we're just touching it quickly. Marcus Ruda is now in 3rd, believe that or not. This is the run through turn 7. They're now in the braking area, turn 8. The good thing for Esteban, I've just been seeing it, Piqueras, long, wide, sweeping lines. If he leaves the door open, you've got to think Esteban will have that opportunity to ram it through at the final corner.
Yeah, for Piqueras, he's trying to make sure that he's able to hold his lines like the Honda needs, but into the last corner, he's not going to leave that door wide open. He's going to be in the middle of the track trying to defend that position. Now it's up to Esteban to make sure he barges through this open door if there is one.
We're on the last lap. We are into the last... Oh, dear! Teammate drama! We said rule number 1, don't take your teammate out. Almanza and Ruda have done it to each other. Piqueras defends into the final corner in the battle for the win. Piqueras, 4 podiums so far. None have been a victory. We saw a drag to the line here last year and a drag to the line in the first round of this year, but it's not going to be. Piqueras holds on. 2nd place for Joel Esteban. We have a new winner. Jacob Ralston in 3rd, surely. No, it's not. It's Luca Luneta. Luneta got him on the line by 15 thousandths of a second. Nico Carraro holds on to 5th place. Morossi takes 6th. but the two Finetwork Mir Racing team riders are down and out on the final lap. Steve, look at this, handbags at dawn.
And Rueda was the rider in front, and that's why he's upset with Almanza. But great stuff from Piqueras. Went defensive into the last corner, forced Esteban to have to sit the bike up slightly. Really good riding from the number 18.
Angel Piqueras, the 50th difference winner in the Moto3 era of Junior GP. Second for Joel Esteban. It is a career first podium for him in the class, but there is going to be no team talking here with David Almanza and Marcos Rueda. Let's hope we get to see what happened. Let's have a... Oh, we just caught that a little bit late, but Almanza and Rueda nonetheless in the gravel. Oh, dear. Rueda is asking for a little bit more forgiveness there from Almanza. He's absolutely seething. Yeah. We didn't see it clear enough to draw our own conclusions from that, I'm afraid. But teammates, we did say it. Rule number 1, don't take your teammate out. Rule number 2, beat him into submission if you have to, but not like that and not in the gravel. Let's talk about the race winner, Angel Piqueras. That has been a fine ride from the number 18. We said he'd had 4 podiums and none of them had been a win. Now he's got the win. So Angel Piqueras actually looking very, very strong in that race. He timed that to perfection. Very smart riding, great racecraft. And we're not taking anything away from this man, because who would have thought this? Joel Esteban on the podium in just his second Junior GP race. Fantastic from him. Luca Lanetta, a fine ride by the number 58. That is another strong performance from him. He was pole in the first round of the season, and he is third in the second round of this season, the first race of the day. So Luca Lanetta takes third, and I also make that Lanetta's first podium. Luca Lanetta, of course, because he was on the podium here last year and then he had it taken away because of the red flag, which allowed David Almanza to come in and take the victory and push him out. So Luca Lanetta, a first podium for him, but it's a first win for Angel Piqueras. Look how happy the team are. The Estrella Galicia team, it's a very well-run operation, and I can tell you the next Honda is a long way down. In fact, the next Honda is Britain's Eddie O'Shea, who is the best of the talent team riders, British talent team rider, up in 11th place, so he moves through one position. Eddie O'Shea in 11th ahead of Jabi Zurutuzu. Very good ride from him, back from 27th up to 12th. Keep an eye on him later on in the day. 13th for Tachikon Boaz. We don't know what happened to Facundo Yambias. He was down in 14th, though. Detweiler in 15th, but great scenes down there for the number 58 of Luca Lanetta. On the shoulders there, you can see that's one of the ETC riders. That's Giulio Pugliese. He was a very, very good front runner last time out at Estoril, and he's qualified pretty well this time as well. We'll come to him when we get to ETC. But Piqueras, well, monkey off his back then. And like I say, the 50th difference winner since the Moto3 machinery was introduced back in 2012. He is the 99th winner since this championship started back in 1998. That means race 2 later, dare we dream of the 100th different winner? Will it be this man, Joel Esteban? Esteban, a race winner here last year in the European Talent Cup, and a fine, fine performance. He led virtually almost every lap until this move. Piqueras just running on through, down the inside, in towards turn 1. A great move and timed to perfection. He did go just a little bit wide, and you do think that if that finish line was just a little bit further down the straight, Esteban might have just been able to draft his way through. Nonetheless, everyone can be happy. A first podium for Esteban. It's a first win of his career for Angel Piqueras, and we'll hear from him very, very soon. Great job from Piqueras. And as I say, further down the field, Luca Lanetta got Jacob Rulston on the line to deny Jacob Rulston. Nonetheless, it's Rulston's best finish in the class in 4th, but to deny him a first podium, on Australia a first podium in a couple of years, by 15 thousandths of a second. Virtually nothing to you and me here. Nico Carrara, as I say, 5th, and 6th was Alessandro Marossi, but it's interview time. Angel Piqueras, he's a race winner. He's with Steve.
Angel Piqueras, your first win in the Junior GP Moto3 World Championship, but for you today must be very special to finally get that win.
Yeah, I'm really happy because the race was hard because the pace of Joel was so fast. But I'm really happy because during the weekend my team did a really good job, and they give to me a really competitive bike. But I'm really happy to start here in Chester like this because there are a lot of people of my town, and I'm really happy.
Well done. And some words in Spanish?
Nada, muy contento porque, bueno, la carrera ha sido muy difícil porque Joel tenía un ritmo muy fuerte, pero bueno, al final en la última vuelta he apretado un poco porque sabía que tenía un poco más, pero estoy muy contento. Mi equipo ha hecho un trabajo muy bueno durante todo el fin de semana, y nada, agradecer a toda la gente que me está viendo aquí de mi pueblo, que viene mucha gente, y nada, ahora la carrera 2 y a ver qué tal.
Great job, Angel.
I thought we were going to get a Steve English translation there, but never mind, we'll have to wait for another day. If you've just joined us, you've missed a belter. A great start to the day. Race 1 Junior GP off with a bang, and it was Joel Esteban, rookie in the class, going from pole and hitting the front. He led almost every single lap. Angel Piqueras sitting pretty in second. Nico Carraro, championship leader, the number 10 in fourth place. He moves through into third ahead of Luca Lunetta, his fellow countryman. Behind him, the third of the Aspar Junior team bikes, Jacob Rulston. David Almanza was there as well, Marcos Ruder in behind. It was a big battle for, at the time, fourth place, because Nico Carraro had latched onto the back of Angel Piqueras and race leader Joel Esteban. Piqueras did make a move with 9 laps to go, but ran wide into turn 2. Maybe just seeing if he got the pace to move on through if he needed to. Sandbagging, perhaps. Carraro was momentarily into second, Piqueras fought back. But more importantly, Carraro had been given a long lap penalty for exceeding track limits. We saw that Joel Esteban was given a warning, but nothing more. Carraro, that put him way back in the pack. He was in now a battle for third place, which is seeing Jacob Rulston move on through, with Luca Lunetta right there, as well as David Almanza and Marcos Ruder. Drama awaited the 69 and the 22, Ruder and Almanza. Moving through onto the final lap, it was Piqueras who hit the front, whilst that was the drama we were talking about. Teammates taking each other out. Last corner, Esteban thought about it, then it was the run to the line, but at the end of the day, great racecraft superseded rookie ambitions. It was Angel Piqueras who became, as I said before, the 50th different winner in the Moto3 era of Junior GP. He's the 99th overall, the 100 awaits later. Perhaps Joel Esteban will have something to say, but for now, race 1 belongs to Piqueras. Second, Esteban. Third, Luca Lunetta. Joy all round in Parc Ferme. And now back with your live scenes from the Ricardo Tormo circuit here in Chester, just outside of Valencia, not Chester, outside of Liverpool. I should just add on for clarification if you join us elsewhere. Here we go then, Lunetta on the podium already with them horrendous sunglasses. Then it's Joel Esteban and your race winner, Angel Piqueras. 5 podiums at last. One is a victory. Steve English is with me back in commentary. Steve, he seemed relatively relaxed in his Parc Ferme interview.
Yeah, just job done for Angel Piqueras, really, and it was a really impressive ride. Another last lap win for him. Actually, just got a message from a noted Moto3 paddock insider, and they've said that the whole way through the rookie season, it's been this on the last lap. His racecraft from Angel Piqueras really is special, and that's one of the things that shone through in this race as well. We saw him half-wheel riders on a few occasions. We saw him just making sure that he was always in a position to attack, and when it came down to it, he was able to make the move and make it stick, and then rode very well on the last lap.
we see a lot of times in this class that sometimes,
piloto
like
de Moto
last year,
2, Pedro
like
Acosta,
previous
entregará
years,
el trofeo al
it's
vencedor,
about raw speed. It's Jose Antonio Ueda, Ethan Guevara, for example, have always gone on because they got that raw speed, but sometimes it's not enough said for good racecraft. That's what we've just seen.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes the difference out there, and it is what the top riders that come through, we see the same thing from them year on year.
A year of free internet and mobile coverage for Piqueras. This is the national anthem.
Ese aplauso para el cuadro de honor con los 3 pilotos, el representante del
Yes, I was caught slightly by surprise that the national anthem was coming on then. That is my own fault. But yes, free internet and mobile coverage for a month for Angel Piqueras. Where I was about to go with that is that he will not care a jot. He'll want to be collecting as many of those checks as he can. I'll probably need to start a good friendship with him because that would really help right now for me. Free internet, always a good thing. This is the podium ceremony. Time for the pictures. Then we'll talk you through the results and the championship standings, which will make for interesting reading, even after just 2 races of the 12 scheduled for 2023. Celebrations in full flow. That doesn't look like our kind of drink, I must say, Steve. It looks a little bit too civilized.
As a teetotal man, it seems perfectly acceptable to me.
Race results then. Angel Piqueras, a winner for the first time, and for, I think, perhaps one of the 49th time, I reckon that is. We've had a race decided by less than 1/10 of a second. Don't know what draw that stat's just been pulled out of. Luca Lunetta, 3rd behind John Esteban, who's a rookie on the podium. Ralston, Carraro, Morossi, Buchanan in 7th for New Zealand. Fantastic from him. Alvaro Carpe completing the top 10. Eddie O'Shea, 11th for Britain. Zuratuza, Brasri, Yambias and Detweiler in 15th. Albi Aditama just missing out on the points. He was 16th ahead of class rookie Shinya Ezawa. Kotaro Uchiumi was 18th and just over 30 seconds back of the win. Leo Ramersdorfer and Torrin Collins completing the top 20 with names all the way through down to the Indian rider Jeffrey Emmanuel in 25th position. David Almanza and Marcos Ruda not finishing, but that's a friendly atmosphere down in that team. Oh, to be a fly. Angel Piqueras is your championship leader by 9 points over Nico Carraro. Luca Lunetta, 3rd at the moment. Joel Esteban with that podium. That's 2nd place, 20 points, added on to his 10th place and 6 points from race 1 of the season at Estoril. He's flying up to 4th. Jacob Ralston, solid in 5th place. Page 2, great stuff from Cormac Buchanan. I really didn't expect that from this race. He had a bit of work to do early on. 7th place, fantastic results, and he's been going well in the Red Bull rookies actually, so we shouldn't all be that surprised. Perhaps going all the way down through the order. Last point scorer so far after just 2 of 12 races this year, Arbi Aditama. A fine way to start the day. Angel Piqueras, it went his way. Joel Esteban will look to correct that later on in race 2, whilst Nico Carraro was pushed back and off that podium due to a long lap penalty. A lesson to be learned going into later. Race 1 of ETC is coming up, but Junior GP, Angel Piqueras goes into this afternoon as the rider to beat. Don't go anywhere.